senior category. And this senior category, there will be a short briefing on the Singapore energy transition. So this will help you to set the context on the next phase of this competition. And we will go through the detail of the competition in a bit as well. And we will also have our trainers from Zenitant. They will be giving you a tutorial on using Minecraft Education Edition in order to build your energy world. So just sit back. We will hold for 5 more minutes while we wait for the rest of the student participants to join in. And we will come back to this webinar shortly. So thank you. Good afternoon, all student participants of the Singapore Energy Grand Challenge Youth Senior category. So, and educators who join into this virtual clinic session today as well. Thank you for taking the time on this Friday afternoon. So, my name is Zhi and I'm from the Energy Market Authority. So today, the reason why you are invited is because you are all our semi-finalists for the SEGC Youth Senior category 2022. So in this session, the agenda for today, we will be about the Singapore's energy transition. So this Singapore's energy transition will set the context for you, where you will have the knowledge and context and background of how you should build your energy world, which is the next stage of this competition. And later on, we will have a Q&A session as well, pertaining to the details of this competition. And lastly, but not least, our trainers, Zenitant, will also be going through a short tutorial on how we can make use of the MEE or Minecraft Educational Edition to build your energy world. Okay, so without further ado, my colleague Amy will be going through with you the Singapore energy transition. Just sit back and enjoy.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining the Singapore Energy Grand Challenge Youth Virtual Mass Briefing. My name is Amy, and I'm from the Energy Market Authority, and I'll be sharing more with you about the competition as well as the Singapore energy transition. Okay, so let's begin. So the Singapore energy transition. Not sure if you heard about this in the last few years, but I'll take you guys through and to really understand about what it takes. So EMA, we are the lead agency for energy matters in Singapore. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but we are a statutory board under the Ministry of Trade and Industry. We hold 3 main roles. Firstly, as a regulator of Singapore's electricity, gas, and district cooling industries. Secondly, we also serve as the power systems operator. And last but not least, we are the lead agency for energy development. As you can see on the chart on your right-hand side, you might be quite familiar with this on how electricity is actually transmitted to your schools as well as with your homes. From the power plants, it goes through the power grid, and then finally to the consumers. So what does it really mean to be the lead agency for energy development? There are a few areas that we focus into. Firstly, is looking at long-term strategies and plans for Singapore. We also look into fostering a dynamic energy sector in our nation. We look into not only the local context, but also international players in the energy arena. And last but not least, we focus onto the driving of development of the pipeline of competent and local manpower for the power and gas sector. And that's why I'm here speaking with you today, because you are our next generation coming into the workforce. So as you know, climate change has always been a hot topic in the news. It's an existential threat, and Singapore is committed to reducing our emissions and advancing the global climate action. You can see the statistics on the left-hand side. These figures are quite high, and it's a big part about not only globally, but locally, we have strategies on how we can be able to reduce our carbon emissions. So what's it like in Singapore? Actually, we have the Singapore Green Plan 2030. It's our whole of nation movement to advance Singapore's national agenda on sustainable development. So there are 5 pillars that really talk about this. The one that I want to zoom into for today is really the energy reset pillar. It outlines our commitments to use cleaner energy and also to increase our energy efficiency to lower our carbon footprint. the different topics that is under this pillar on energy reset is very relevant for our competition today. So one of it is really about looking at cleaner energy vehicles. Secondly, looking into infrastructure in buildings. Thirdly, towns and districts. And last but not least, seeing how we can be able to increase the green energy resources in our nation. So in Singapore, actually our power sector plays a significant role. As you can see in the chart on the right-hand side, up to 40% of the emissions is actually from the power sector. So if we can be able to use technology and find different ways to reduce this in our sector, it will make a big difference into decarbonizing our Singapore future. So how can we be able to decarbonize this? We cannot just focus on one prong approach, but actually we have this thing called the energy trilemma. It's a balancing the need for energy to be clean, reliable, as well as affordable. So the three different areas, I'll just touch briefly on it. Firstly is environmental sustainability. So this includes areas of, like catalyzing clean energy R&D, as well as experimentalization. See what new areas that we have not been focusing on in the past, but we can be able to put in resources and to prepare for our future. And under sustainability, we also look into energy efficiency measures because a big part of it is not just improving the energy supply, but if we can be able to reduce the energy demand, it will also make a big difference. Secondly, is economic competitiveness. So some areas that we look into is really about liberalizing the energy market. Maybe some of you have heard about the OEM in the last few years, where you can be able to choose your retailers through the open electricity market. We also ensure level playing field in competitive sectors. Last but not least is about energy security. There's two areas to look into this. One of it is the energy sources itself, to diversify them, not putting all the eggs into one basket as a phrase. But secondly, it's also human capital. Our manpower and the workforce is actually a big part of our resource. And that's an area that we're always focusing on to see how we can be able to develop and to train the human capital for the new technologies and new needs of our future. So to give you an example, in the past we used coal, and actually coal satisfies two of these three areas of the energy trilemma. It's abundant and it's cheap, so it's helped satisfy the economic competitiveness as well as energy security. But as you know, there's quite a lot of carbon emissions that come out of coal, so it's not very environmentally sustainable. In the last 50 years, Singapore's energy sector has come a long way, moving from oil-powered generating plants all the way to cleaner sources such as natural gas. And even right now, we're moving towards a lot more to solar. These are just some pictures to show you a glimpse of the past. You can see the black and white photos, 1920s to 2000s. Maybe some of you have been to the St. James Power Station. That's near Harbourfront. That's the picture over there. In the 2000s to 2010, that's where we actually move a lot more into natural gas. And in more recent times, we are trying to see how we can be able to increase our cleaner energy resources. Electricity is a key enabler. And that's one area that, it really impacts not only those in the industry, but it supports our day-to-day lives. Can you imagine if you don't have electricity nowadays? The laptop or the phone that you're using to watch this video right now, it also matters, right? We do need electricity. Other sectors that are essential are like healthcare, infocoms and media that rely heavily on the energy sector. So what's it like going to be in the future? In the next 3 years to come, we actually have this multi-pronged strategy that's called the Singapore Energy Transition. So we will be using that to outline the key paths for us to be able to move towards a more sustainable future. A big part of it is really looking at 3 different areas. Firstly is the supply itself, the grid, as well as the demand. All 3 areas need to be tackled so that we can allow a Singapore power system to be secure, reliable, and sustainable. Broadly, the Singapore energy transition actually includes 4 switches, namely natural gas, solar, regional power grids, as well as low carbon alternatives. All of this will be complemented by the larger prong, which is energy efficiency. I'll take us through one by one. So firstly, natural gas. We see that it will continue to be Singapore's dominant fuel source in the near future. A big part of it is that it takes time to scale up alternative options. Even though we want to jump into cleaner energy and the renewable sources, it takes time to be able to build up the technology as well as the workforce for that area. So natural gas will continue to be the dominant. Currently today, about 95% of our electricity is generated from natural gas. We actually import natural gas from our neighbors, such as Malaysia as well as Indonesia. And we also have a Singapore liquefied natural gas terminal on Jurong Island, and that allows us to expand our networks and to be able to get imported natural gas from our furthering than our neighbors. So for example, we actually import natural gas from Qatar as well as Australia. The second area is solar. Solar is our most viable renewable option today. As you can see here in the photos, these are some of the places that we have deployed solar. We are trying to see how we can be able to increase the surface areas that we can be able to deploy these installments. So one of it, maybe you have noticed on top of HDBs, rooftops, those are one areas. We're also looking at reservoir bodies. So like Sembcorp Tengah floating solar farm, there's also an area. We're looking at offshore water bodies, or even looking at vertical solar deployments. There's different ways that we can be able to maximize this. A key goal for us is really to deploy at least 2 gigawatt peak of solar by 2030. And this is aiming to power around 350,000 households. That sounds so rosy and good, right? But actually a big part about solar is its intermittency. A big part of it is that we want our power system to always be reliable. Whenever you plug in your devices, you want electricity to come out. So we don't want one day, at one moment there's solar and the next minute it rains or there's a cloud cover and then we cannot be able to use our electricity again. So what are different technologies that we can look into? One of the areas that Singapore is looking into and investing in is really energy storage systems. To explain, it really works like a large-scale battery, and you can be able to store the solar power and harness it for later use. So when it's sunny and all, you'll be able to store all the excess solar energy, and then when it's raining or cloudy, you can be able to draw from it. Our goal is actually to deploy at least 200 megawatt of ESS beyond 2025. The third area is regional power grids. We're looking into electricity imports so that we can diversify our energy sources. A big part of it is that we can be able to rely on our neighbors that have different geographical advantages that Singapore doesn't have. We are a country that's very small. We are exactly on the equator. So probably for example, wind turbines, these things, these technologies cannot be deployed as effectively as compared to the northern and the southern hemisphere. So with electricity imports and working with our neighboring countries, we are looking to import up to 4 gigawatts of low carbon electricity by 2035. This will be significant because it will amount to about 30% of our electricity supply. Over here in this slide, it just lists out some of our trials and some of the projects that are ongoing in the next 3 years. And we can be able to see how we can work together with Malaysia, Indonesia, and the rest of our neighbors. The fourth area is low carbon alternatives. So this technology actually looks at what is more emerging and further term. So just to name a few, we are also looking at hydrogen, geothermal energy, carbon capture, utilization, and storage. And these are the areas that we are trying to do more research on, to have feasibility studies to see whether in other countries they're using it. What about Singapore? How we can be able to learn and to be able to diversify our fuel mix to be able to reduce our carbon emissions further. I'll explain a bit more about CCUS. It's usually a term that most people are not very familiar with. So it's actually a process where you capture carbon dioxide produced from emission sources, and then you convert it to more useful products. A large part of this is actually being used in the construction firms. So actually recently, the government actually awarded 55 million to 12 projects that involves hydrogen as well as CCUS under the Low Carbon Energy Research Funding Initiative. We hope through these measures and these projects that we can be able to decarbonize Singapore's power sector further. Last year, we also explored a feasibility study, how we can be able to harness geothermal energy in Singapore, which is going to be pretty new. I know I've been speaking a lot about the energy supply, but we also need to think about the energy demand because both of it work hand in hand. So in the near future, there's a lot of new and emerging electricity intensive sectors. And with the increasing electrification of these sectors, we will see that actually our energy consumption is projected to increase. So just to name a few, one of it is data centers. Maybe you've seen, a lot of bigger companies like Google are coming in and Facebook are coming in to set up their offices. And all these data centers actually play a big role in our digital economy. They store, they process and disseminate data that's very important, that's very vital for our economy, but they are also very intensive users on our electricity grid. The second area is on agriculture or aquatech, food production. One of our goals under the Singapore Green Plan is actually to produce 30% of our own nutritional needs by 2030. So as we expand the food production, naturally we will believe that our electricity grid will also be taxed, and then there will be a lot more consumption from this sector. Last but not least is electricity vehicles that maybe some of you have seen it on the road, whether it's the electric bus or even electric cars like just this Blue SG. One of our targets is actually to have 60,000 electric vehicle charging points nationwide by 2030. We also envision that vehicles to run on cleaner energy by 2040. So all of this together is adding more and more energy demand to our grid. I'll just talk a bit more about electric vehicles. So currently right now, when you charge your electric vehicle, it's connected to the main grid and it draws, as just now shared earlier, 95% of it actually come from natural gas. So as we try to find the balance between the energy supply as well as energy demand, a huge factor is to see how we can be able to increase the cleaner energy. If not, then whenever you plug in electric vehicle, you may not actually be getting cleaner energy. You may be just drawing things from the grid. So yeah, so that's a balance that we need to have too as well. The other area about electric vehicles is that we are not able to determine when does the user actually charge the vehicles. So maybe you're at home and you want to charge your vehicle through the night. Then actually that's adding more demand onto the night time when actually everybody else is at home as well. Or maybe you want to charge when you go to the office and everybody that's in town in the city center and their offices are all charging at that point in time. So there may be congestion on the grid at the different various sectors, locations, as well as the time zones. So yeah, so those are all the different considerations that we need to take into account. So just now I'll talk about energy supply as well as the demand. The in-between factor is really the connectivity and the reliability of our national grid. As we try to make our energy sources to be more cleaner and greener and try to reduce our energy demand, that's where the balance lies. If we can be able to make that stable, then that's where the grid will really be able to be reliable and to be able to produce the electricity that we require. I am not sure if all of you are engineering students, but to just share some context, a big part about electricity is that we want it to be balanced at all times in the ideal state. This way, the frequency is consistent, and that way the grid can be reliable. We don't want the energy supply to be really high and the demand to be low. And then there's a lot of gaps, or the other way around is also not ideal. So the best ideal state is to be as balanced as possible. So what we are trying to do in the future is also to see how we can be able to change not only technology, but user consumption patterns. So listed here are just some of the areas that we're looking into. Firstly, we can work with key sectors to manage the growth of electricity demand in Singapore. Secondly is how we can be able to encourage energy efficiency and energy conservation efforts. And last but not least, to develop the flexibility of demand to optimize the supply and the grid capacities. I'll share some examples about flexibility of demand. So you might not be aware, but actually our electricity prices fluctuate throughout the day. They are in half-hour blocks. So there are times of the day where actually there's not a lot of demand and actually our electricity prices are lower. And then when there's high demand, then electricity prices are higher. So Keppel actually has district cooling facilities in some parts of Singapore, such as like Changi Business Park or even the Mediapolis areas. And that is one of the ways that we can be able to be flexible on the demand. So when prices are low, the district cooling networks are able to freeze up the ice and to prepare those cooling. And then when electricity is high, you don't charge it anymore and you don't freeze the ice, but instead you'll be able to release the cold air that has already been stored through those thermal storage. So these are just some of the areas. Other countries beyond Singapore also looks at how they are able to turn off non-essential supplies. So for example, for households, if like you don't need to use the heater at that point of time, or you don't need to use the aircon, washing machines, those are the larger appliances. And if you can be able to time it properly to fit the lower pricing schedules, that will also help to be able to manage the energy consumption as a whole. So you can see there's different areas and a different approach in handling our energy future. And every key aspect actually plays a role in really conserving energy and supporting the greener energy transition for a more sustainable future. Next, I would like to share more with you about Manpower Initiatives that you students can be able to apply to. We categorize it into two areas. So first one is attraction and outreach, which are relevant to students like yourselves. So depending on what school you're from, so for example, if you're from ITE or Poly, actually we have the Energy Industry Scholarship that's applicable for you. If you're from university, we actually have the Singapore Industry Scholarship. Both scholarship application cycles usually open at the beginning of the year until March. Just now I shared more about the technologies and the topics, and you want to find out more information about it, you can actually watch the EMA and MOE Science and Humanities videos. All these are available online, and it goes into the different areas of focus. So for example, just now I mentioned about solar intermittency. We actually have a video that's called Energy Stores and Transfers, and it really talks about energy storage systems and how it's able to be used. I also mentioned about district cooling networks, and we actually have a video that talks about thermal cooling. So if you want to find out more information, that's a resource that's readily available and it's free. We also have other events like career fairs. We go to universities to share more about the energy transition. What are some career prospects in the area? We have Science Center. We have a permanent exhibit called the Energy Story. So if you're interested, you can go there. It's an interactive exhibit. It talks about the energy transition, the different areas, not only in a local perspective, but also in a global perspective as well. We host competition and events just like this one, Singapore Energy Grand Challenge, or SEGC in short. And for this year, our grand final for the IHL category, as well as the SEGC award ceremony, will be held at Youth at SU. It's our flagship event that we hold annually, really engaging youth like yourself on about energy related issues, and also to connect you to hear from political holders as well as industry players, so that you get a good sense of what is it really like in the energy sector. The areas on the right hand side is on retention and development. I would think this is more further planning. If you're interested to join us in the power sector, then these are some of the programs that you can look forward to. A big part of EMA's work is really seeing how we can be able to train and to develop those that are already in the workforce through leadership programs, through work study programs, career conversion programs, so that we are always upskilled and ready for whatever that may be in our future. I hope this gives a good understanding of what's it like in our energy sector in the past, today, as well as the future that we are moving towards. And hopefully this will give you some good context and background for the competition that's here today.
Okay, thanks Amy for the introduction to Singapore's energy transition. So let's move on to the next phase of this virtual clinic, which is we will touch on the competition detail. Okay, so for this, you are all invited because you are all semi-finalists of the SEGC Youth 2022 under our senior category. And like Amy just mentioned and explained further there about the energy, managing our energy demand in the future, we will be centering this competition on around this challenge statement. So let me read it out to you. So as Singapore transitions towards a carbon-free energy future, how can we reduce our carbon footprint by leveraging the 4 switches and managing energy demand to achieve a more sustainable Singapore by 2050? So every team here will be building your energy world centering around this challenge statement, which is the theme for this year's competition. So you can take a bit of time to digest this challenge statement. We will be sending the details to you, to your inbox by next week. So there's no need to copy this down for the moment. Okay, so as mentioned by my colleague Amy, as we go to the future, there will be more energy demand because of certain things like data centers, high-tech food production, and EV charging. So electric vehicle charging as we move towards a less of a ICE in the internal combustion engine cars. So with all this development, we will definitely need ideas and inspiration on how to manage all this surging energy demand that will come definitely in the future. So yourselves as student participants, the final semi-finalists, you will build your vision of a more sustainable Singapore in Microsoft Minecraft Education Edition, or MEE in short. And what you need to submit to us is a 5-minute video, and you will qualify for us to judge this 5-minute video. And then if this 5-minute video is amongst the top 3, you will be shortlisted. So only the top 3 teams will be shortlisted to the final round. And okay, so there is this, we will encourage all students to better explain your 5-minute video. If you have subtitles to include and all this, it is definitely encouraged because, if you take a look at the right-hand side, the judging criteria, presentation forms a very big part of the overall scoring. So the coherence of your presentation will matter a lot. And if you wish to use subtitles to explain your ideas or your energy world, please feel free and do so. So like we emphasize again, this video is strictly limited to 5 minutes, and any further, anything that exceeds this 5 minutes limit will be disqualified. So the decision will be final, okay? All right, so in this 5-minute video submission, based on the world which you have built, you need to showcase a minimum of 5 ideas. So you have to include at least 3 ideas that relates to this year's theme or the challenge statement, which is to manage energy demand. And you can showcase your ideas on how to manage this surging energy demand. For example, how do you want to manage, all the surging demand from increasing the charging ports of electric vehicles all around the island? So if you have ideas like these, please do showcase in your energy world and record them down as a video. So this submission will form the next round of qualification to the final round. And do elaborate on how each of your idea addresses the challenge statement. So you need to relate it back to the challenge statement. Okay, so like we've mentioned, the judging criteria. So presentation forms 30%. Relevance will be whether or not it's relevant to Singapore energy transition, the material that you have just watched previously, and creativity. So how unique your ideas are relative to everyone else's. So these are the criteria which your submission will be judged on. And only the top 3 teams from the senior category will be shortlisted to the final judging round. So we regret that we will only be in contact with the top 3 teams. Okay. So if let's say you have some, you wish to recap some of the materials that you just watched from today's virtual clinic session, the recording will be uploaded on our website by next week. So your team can watch together if there's any recap you require. Okay, moving to the next slide. Some of the administrative detail. So please do take note. This timeline that you see on the left-hand side, our submission will close by 30th June, which is end of this month. So from 11 June onwards, you will be able to submit your submission. And this 5-minute video should showcase, I'll emphasize again, at least 5 ideas to achieve a more sustainable Singapore by 2050. And you need to include at least 3 ideas relating to energy demand. And there will be a public voting segment. This voting segment will only be limited to the top 3 teams. So the video submission, the 5-minute video submissions will be published on EMA's social media pages. And there will be bonus points awarded to teams with the most votes. So the top 3 teams of the both categories, so this is referring to senior and junior, so you are the senior category students, will present their ideas to the judging panel for the final judging round. And this will take place on 10th of August. So prior to this final judging session, there will be a voting segment. So you can, rah-rah your friends, your classmates, schoolmates, and we will publish this, we'll share these links with you guys. So you can ask or, request them to help you give a like to this. Okay, and then finally, after this virtual final judging session on the 10th of August, do mark your calendar down. There will be an award ceremony. So on the 28th of October, the winners for the SEGC Youth 2022 will be announced on the day itself. So we'll be inviting the top 3 teams to the event. So the decision will be reviewed on the spot. Okay, and on the right-hand side, submission notes. Do email your submission of the 5-minute video from 11 to 30th June 2022. The cutoff is at 5 p.m. So this is also strict. So any submission that we receive in our inbox after 5 will also be disqualified. So please do take note of this. Do give yourself some buffer time. Sometimes in terms of technical errors, please give yourself some buffer time to hedge against this. Okay, and then the instruction here is also very important on the second pointer. Please upload your 5-minute video on YouTube and set your video as unlisted. So set it as unlisted. And then you can submit this link to our inbox, which is at ema_humancapital@ema.gov.sg. Okay, so we will be going through some of the Q&A questions that students here might have. So in the meantime, you can check out this webpage for more information. And okay, I will take a look at the Q&A. Just hold on. If students, you have any questions regarding or pertaining to the competition detail, make good use of the Q&A box. Okay, we have a question from Ms. Zuhaila. Okay, so must the video created be on the same ideas as those we submitted earlier? Or can we change our ideas based on what we learned today? Yes, that's a very good question. So the ideas that you submitted previously on the PowerPoint slides, you can make changes, necessary changes to what you submitted previously. So because after today, you will have gained more understanding about the context of this Singapore energy transition that we are talking about. So you can do your necessary tweaks to these ideas and build or amend your energy world based on these new or amended ideas. And you don't have to stick to what you submitted previously. So I hope I answered your question. Okay, we have another question from Ms. Pan Le Yi, I suppose. So, may I know what can we do if we exceed the 10 times free use of the Minecraft app? Okay, so we are using the Microsoft's Minecraft Education Edition. So all students with the moe.edu.sg email domain will be getting the free license to use MEE. So do check out our FAQ for the detail on how to do it. So you will still be able to use MEE for free, in short, as long as you use the domain under your email, your school's email. Okay, Ms. Lim Sing Hui has a question that what if we are not under the .moe.edu domain? For this, could you give us an email to us regarding this, and we'll see if there's any way to assist. So you have our inbox, our flash again. Yeah, so for this query, please do submit to this inbox. And we have a question from Miss Annie Huang. So can we use the normal Minecraft? We prefer that students use this MEE Education Edition. If you have any technical issues using MEE, please do keep us in contact. Okay, and there's another question from Ms. Tan Min Min. Is there a world provided that we can build on like last year? So this time, you have to build your own world from scratch. So it's totally from your own creativity on how you want to present your ideas. Okay, we have another technical question from Ms. Hannah Ng. What can I do if my computer is unable to operate Minecraft? If let's say because Minecraft Education Assistant Edition should be able to run from most PCs or laptops with basic specifications. So if you have technical queries, please do send it over to this inbox. Okay, so we have a question from Dylan. So may I know how regional power grids? Okay, maybe you are saying that what are regional power grids, right? Yes. So regional power grids is definitely a new development. So the way is to research online. Regional power grids would mean how would you be able to connect the, for example, subsea cables from our regional neighbors in the Southeast Asian region, for example, and from their production of the energy, and then can they export this energy to us. So do research a little bit more on this, but we understand that this is still a new development as of now. So if you want to compare that to solar, this is definitely a newer development. Yes, so for all the technical queries, we are receiving quite a few numbers of technical queries on Minecraft Education Edition. So there will be a free license for use. And if let's say you run out of the 10 users, let me double check on that for you. I'll just hold on the question. So for students who already have Minecraft, you are still required to use the Minecraft Education Assistant, MEE in short. Okay, can we propose new ideas? Example, geothermal, which may be difficult to implement in Singapore. So the quick answer to this question is, for ideas that you would like to propose, you need to be able to explain coherently on how you are going to overcome certain limitations that Singapore will have if they wish or propose to implement this new way of supplying energy. So if your explanation is coherent, and you have taken into account, or you are able to see all the different sides of the issues and explain it coherently to us in the 5-minute video submission, yes, you can propose new ideas. So this is the whole point of this competition, which is to let students generate new ideas for Singapore's energy future. Okay, so there are some questions on the technical issues for Minecraft Education Edition. And for example, Miss Faith 1 is asking if it only allows 10 users. What do we do after you run out of these users? Okay, so for all the questions regarding the account users for MEE, so we are pleased to share that users of the Office 365 education account are provided complimentary MEE licenses. So we note that your email is dhs.sg. It is an Office 365 user domain. So you may still access MEE using your Office 365 user ID and password. If there are no further queries, I will hand over our time to Mr. Riff. Mr. Riff is a trainer from Zenithant, and he will be going through the tutorial on Minecraft Education Edition. So please sit back. I'll hand the time over to you, Riff.
Hello, good afternoon, boys and girls, and fellow teachers. Okay, welcome to the Singapore Energy Grand Challenge Youth Category 2022. My name is Mr. Riff. I'll be your trainer from today, and I come from Zenithant. This competition is proudly brought to you by Energy Market Authority in partnership with Microsoft, supported by the IMDA. Okay, this will be the agenda of the clinic for today. I will teach you how to get started with Minecraft Education Edition, how to sign in, some tutorials for beginning players for this Education Edition, basic Minecraft gameplay, all right, the chalkboards, which is a unique feature of the Education Edition itself, NPCs, some basic redstone engineering, the pressure plate, how to navigate the base energy world, the building prompt or the challenge statement that you have been introduced just now, the scoring matrix, how to import, export the world, how to host and join multiplayer, and a simple beginner's guide to MEE itself. Okay, so if you have not downloaded Minecraft Education, this will be the link for you to go to. This will be shared in the toolkit after this clinic in a week's time. Okay, so let me just go to the link. So when you click on the link, you will be brought to this site here, and the device or your device will be recommended to download the following Minecraft Education Edition. Okay, since I'm using a Windows device, I will be downloading this particular app itself. Okay, but if you have other devices, okay, such as Chromebook, Mac, and iPad, you can also download Minecraft Edition from the same site. Then in order to sign in, as shared by Mr. Churchin just now, you can use your Microsoft 365 education account, which is your school's email or your icon email address and password. Okay, if you're not sure, please check with your school's teacher or the IT department of the details of your account and password. So when you have logged in, you can actually change the default skin of your character or your avatar. The default skins of Alex and Steve will appear on the left side of the menu, and the most recent skins will appear on the right-hand side of the menu. Okay, in the same menu, you can also scroll down to locate other different skins. Okay, let me just show you. Okay, so if you were to sign in to Minecraft Education, there is this hanger that you can click on. So if you were to click on it, you can find a series of skins that you can choose from, okay, from different categories like Journey to the West, Friends, Developers, and so on and so forth. Okay, for me, usually I'll be using the Firefighter, as I used to be one before during my national service. Okay. Next, for the beginning Minecraft education players or even Minecraft gamers themselves, there are some tutorials that you can use, like movement, okay, how to move within Minecraft, how to place and break the blocks, how to interact with the game features, for example, the levers, buttons, and NPCs, how to use a camera and portfolio, chalkboards, and NPC. Okay, some of these features will be shared later during the clinic today. So let me show you how you where you can find these tutorials in the game. So if you were to click on play, you will go to the home page here. Under view library, you can click on how to play. And there are a few options there, okay, for keyboard devices or for touch devices. So most of you will be using keyboard, I believe. So if you were to click on keyboard, these are the tutorials that you can play on. So it's strongly encouraged for you to use these tutorials if you are not familiar with Minecraft education. All right, now let me just orientate to you some other parts of the library. There are subject kits that you can also refer to, where you can get some ideas, especially on for the challenge, okay, under climate and sustainability. If you are interested for some other ideas, you can look through other subject areas as well. Okay. Now for the basic Minecraft gameplay, this is the basic Minecraft controls. For those of you who are very used to the keyboard controls, the WSAD will be your movement controls. You have to move front, you press W. All right, S backward, left is A, and right is D. All right, now to open up the inventory will be the letter E, which you will park or place all your blocks, okay, at your hotbar, which is signified by your number keys, okay, from 1 to 9. Later, I will further illustrate. All right, your mouse will be your eyes, okay, for you to move, to look around the Minecraft world. Left click is for you to crush the block. Right click is for you to use certain features or elements. Okay, and the scroll wheel is for you to access the toolbar or the hotbar. Okay, space is for you to jump or to fly. Okay, these are the controls for touch devices. Okay, let me just demonstrate a simple skill of building a wall, okay, which will further illustrate the movement, inventory, and place and break. Okay. So as you are opening the world, there are some tips for that the Minecraft will actually share with you. So this is the world. Okay, on the left-hand side, there is the tips on the control buttons. Okay, so if you press W to move forward, as backward, left and right. Okay, double space is for you to fly. Double space again for you to land back. Okay, to open up the inventory is press the letter E, and let me just remove all this. Okay, so if you were to select any of the blocks, okay, from the inventory, you can use the spyglass here or the magnifying glass and search maybe by colors. So if you want to choose a blue block, okay, you just type the color and it will appear. Okay, so let me just choose some color blocks. Okay, for 3 layers of the wall, maybe a door, and a pane for the window. Okay, so in order to start building, you need to locate where your crosshair or your plus sign, which is the target for your avatar. So in order to start building, you need to either crush, okay, the block in front of you. In this case, let me just go further away from here. So left click is to crush and right click is to place. Okay, so if you accidentally crush a grass block, okay, it's good to get a grass block and put it in a separate slot in your hotbar. So one tip that I can share with you is for you to press your scroll in order to automatically add the grass block onto your hotbar. So aim at a grass block, press your scroll, and it will automatically appear at your hotbar, as you can see in my screen. So I will just replace it here, and I will start building my first layer of my wall. Okay, so right click to place, and usually we build backwards. Okay, go up to the second floor, and maybe I'll change color. Okay, you can use your scroll to change the block, or you can use your number keys. All right, right now I'm pressing my number keys. As you can see, my slots are changed. All right, but you can also use your scroll. Okay, and for the third layer, usually we'll have to fly. Oops, a bit long. Okay, and let's build a wall here. I mean a door. And a few windows. Yep, so that's about it for the wall. A simple wall for you to maybe build an energy efficient house. All right. We will now continue our sharing on the chalkboards. Okay, so what are chalkboards? Very different to signposts, because these chalkboards, players or visitors to the world, they can write on the board itself. Okay, so using the chalkboards, what can builders do with the chalkboards? Okay, they can use the chalkboards to communicate learning goals, provide additional information, and give explicit instructions within the game or world. And there are 3 types of chalkboards. The one block by one block is called the slate, which is the smallest size of the chalkboard. The 2 by 1, okay, is called the poster, and the 2 by 3 is called the board. Okay, in your toolkit, you should be able to click on this video link on how to use the chalkboard, which I will demonstrate right now. So first and foremost, you can get the chalkboard from your inventory. So we have the boards, we have the poster, and we have the slate. Okay, so first for the poster, we can paste it or place it on the wall here. Okay, we can either place on the wall or place it on the ground. Okay, I leave it to you. But the good thing is that you can place the information on the board. Okay, for example, welcome to Reeves Energy Home. Here there are further information about your energy home. Okay, so as you can see, the board is very big, very huge. You can place a lot of information on it. So it depends on the amount of information that you want to display on the chalkboard. Okay, will determine the size of the chalkboard that you will need to use. Okay, so if you want a poster for a shorter information, so you can use a poster here, and you can write information like, for example, the address of your home. Okay, for example, Bedok Reservoir. Okay, then for the slate, we can place it maybe near the door. Okay, I can write here Reeves Home 3. Okay, why 3? Because I already have 2 other walls that I've already built nearby, okay, for activity later on. Okay, so this is how you can actually use the chalkboard, the poster, and the slate, right? Next, I'm going to introduce to you the NPCs, okay, which are also unique feature of the Minecraft Education Edition. Okay, so what can the NPC do? All right, they are actually humanoid characters in your worlds that can be used to provide live ambience, atmosphere to your world, to your city, to your village. Okay, and these NPCs, okay, in short, for non-player characters, they actually interact with the visitors or the players to your world that you will be building, and also provide additional world information or hints or instructions for your visitors or your players. Okay, so when you right-click on the NPC, you can show those information. Okay, like that. There are some buttons that the player can click on. For example, the black button will be maybe teleporting you to another part of the world. For the blue buttons, they will be linking you to an external URL or external website for you, for the player to go for further information about the game or about the tasks in the world. Okay, so some key features of the NPC, they actually stay where you put them. The NPCs can be named. Okay, for example, maybe the town mayor, maybe you can even name it as click me, something like that. Okay, then you can display dialogue text when interacted with. You can also assign URLs and commands, for example, teleport to the buttons with the NPCs. Okay, so how to program your NPC? I will show you the steps first. So you need to select the NPC from the inventory and make sure that you have the NPC egg in your hand. Then you need to place the NPC on in front of your structure. If you cannot spawn the NPC, you will have to type the command /WB, okay, in order to activate World Builder True. Then you need to right click on the NPC and the dialog box will pop up. Okay, so let me just demonstrate that to you first. So let me have the NPC in hand. So right now I want to place the NPC maybe near the door. So right now I want to place it and I can't because I need to activate World Builder True. So you type /WB, enter, and right there on the left screen, it states that the World Builder status is updated to true. So right now you are, as a player, you are a world builder, you are building this world. Okay, so now you can actually place your NPC there. Okay, so when you right click on the NPC, this dialog box will appear. All right, next you can rename your NPC with the desired name. For example, maybe the town mayor or maybe the house owner, something like that. Okay, then you can select the NPC that you like. There is a suite of NPCs that you can choose from. Then you can click on edit dialog to add in certain information, hints or instructions. Then you can click on advanced settings. All right. So let me just show you that first. So the NPC, maybe I want to type as a homeowner. Then I can select, okay, whichever NPC that I like. Since I look like this professor, maybe I can use this. Then I can click on edit dialog to say welcome to Reuse Energy Home. Right? And click on advanced settings. So for advanced settings, there are two options, adding URL and adding command. So for my clinic, I'll be teaching both on how you can add a URL and how you can add a special command called the teleport command. Okay. So for URL, after you have clicked on add URL, you need to copy a URL address from a browser's address bar. Then you need to paste on the NPC's dialog box. Then after that, you can review your settings and your URL by typing /WB for World Builder false. So that means you are toggling back, okay, the /WB. Okay, so let me just showcase that. So click on add URL if you want to add a site to this. So let me just so if let's say you want to add a certain website, okay, relating to energy conservation or the 4 switches, okay, for example, for this website beyondthecurrent.gov.sg, so you can just right click on it and click on copy. Then over here, you cannot right click to paste, you need to press Ctrl V in order to paste the site that you have just copied from the browser. So again, to paste the URL, you have to press and hold Ctrl V, V for Violet. Okay, for the button name, maybe you can type 4 switches. And we can now test the settings. So in order to test the settings, you need to close the dialog box. Okay, and you need to exit World Builder True by typing /WB again. So right now, if I were to right click, now I have gone back to player mode. I can right click on the NPC and I can see my settings there. Okay, so if I were to click on 4 switches, it should bring me back to the site. There, okay, it has successfully brought me back to the site that I want the NPC to refer, the player to refer to. All right. So that is for URL. Now, the second skill that I want to teach you is how you can configure your NPC to teleport you as a player to another station or another part of your world. Okay, so first and foremost, you need to enable your coordinates. So how to do that? You need to tap escape on your keyboard, click on settings, and it will show this window here. Then you need to enable the show coordinates slider. Then tap escape twice to return to MEE, and your coordinates should appear on the top left-hand corner of your screen. All right, and then you need to write down these coordinates, which will be useful for your settings later on. Okay, so just let me demonstrate that. Okay, so in order to activate the coordinates, okay, right now my coordinates have been turned on, but how to just activate the coordinates? Press escape again to go to settings. All right, and then you scroll further down. And if your coordinate slider is not turned on, okay, it should be on the left-hand side. To turn it on or to enable it, you just click on it, then it will be turned on. And your settings will, your coordinates will appear on the top left-hand corner of your screen. Okay, so you have to take note of this. So this is the position of you as a player or as a builder in the world. Okay, so write down this coordinate -153.4 -120. Okay, so this is the location of home 3. Later, I want to teleport myself to home 2, okay, which is dev, okay, to my left. So how to do that? Let me go back to my slides. Okay, I need to go to a place not too far away from your NPC. This is for testing purpose or for you to apply what you have just learned. Okay, you need to write down the new coordinates and then go back to the front of your NPC, open the settings again, and go to advanced settings under add command. Then you have to type this command /TP add P XYZ, where XYZ are the coordinates of the location that is not too far away from your NPC. So /TP add P means teleport nearest player to X, Y, and Z. Okay, then enable the button mode here and type the name of your location. All right. So let me just show that to you. So right now I'm at home 3. Okay, I want to teleport myself to home 2, which is on the other side. So let me just go to home 2 here. So home 2 is here. I want to teleport myself from home 3 to home 2. Okay, so I need to record the coordinate at home 2 here. So what is my coordinate? -132, 4, and -128. Okay. Now, boys and girls, you need to check that you have copied or recorded the coordinates correctly, especially the negative sign. Okay, if you are not careful, you might be teleported to a place too far from your station, and then it might be difficult for you to search your way back. All right. So let me check again, -132, 4, and -128. Okay, so after I've recorded the coordinate, I need to go back to my home 3 and set my coordinates. Okay, so I can't change the NPC settings because I need to go back to /WB true mode. Then I can change my NPC settings. Okay, so not URL but command. So under command, you need to type /TP for teleport space, and then add P for player space again, and then your coordinates that you have copied down for home 2 -132 space 4 space -128. Okay, so take note, for typing the command, you don't use comma, not like the Cartesian coordinates that you have learned in school under coordinate geometry. So please leave out the commas for the coordinates here. So let me check again that my negative signs are typed correctly. Okay, they are correct. I need to turn on my button, and let me put home 2 because I want to be teleported to home 2. Okay. So exit the world builders true to false, and there you are. Okay, I can teleport myself to home 2, and there, I'm now at home 2. So I can also go back to home 3 by setting the teleport command for this NPC here. Okay, I can add command again. So my home 3 is -153 or -120. So this is home 3. Check your coordinates, check your command, everything is correct. Okay, exit WB status to false, and now you can test. Okay, I want to go to home 3. You notice that I have home 2 coordinate there also to teleport. So I have home 3, and I can test again home 2. There you are. Okay. Okay, so that's about it for NPC. You can do 2 things for NPC at least that I have taught you for this clinic. It is to insert the URL and also to teleport yourself from place to place. Okay, next we have a simple redstone engineering on how to turn on and off a torch with a button. Okay, this will be very useful for certain tasks, for example, true and false questions or MCQ questions. Okay, so what do you need? You will need these 4 items, basically the redstone dust, redstone torch, some opaque blocks, and a button. Okay, so let me show you how to set up the true and false task using redstone.
Hello builders, I'm here to teach you how to set up a true or false task in your game using buttons, torch, and some slits. Okay, so imagine this is your task. Okay, asking, is President Yusof the first president of Singapore? Is it true or false? So what the player needs to do is to answer true or false. If the answer is correct, then the torch will be lit up. Okay, so in this case, if I know that the answer is true, so the torch here is lit up. If the answer is false, okay, the torch will not be lit up. Okay, so that is the task for the player. So how to do that? Okay, let me bring you to the site. So first and foremost, what I need you to get from your inventory are the following. All right, some blocks. All right, the redstone torch, button, and the slate. Okay, just these few items here. So first and foremost, I need you to set up these items here, 3 blocks, 1 block at the back, okay, and place 1 torch here and 1 button here. Okay, now so what happened is that you just when you put a torch here, this block is actually powered up. That means it has uh, power that comes out from it. Okay, it is a power source. Okay, so once it's a power source, it can send power through other blocks. But what you need to do is, okay, you need to turn this off automatically. How to do that? You must put a redstone here, okay, and another torch on this block behind this set of 3 blocks. Okay, so what happened is that when you put a torch on this block becomes a power source. Okay, and it will also power up this block here, and it will pass through power through this block. Okay, through this grass block here, through this block, and it will turn off your torch. Okay, so again, if I remove this torch will be turned on, plant a torch here, and as you can see, the redstone will be turned on and it will turn off this. So what happened is that it is changing the original state from lighted up to not lighted up. Okay, so if it's a 1 original, it will go back to a 0. Okay, when you put the setup in this way. Okay, a torch and a redstone. Okay, then it will just turn the signal in the opposite direction. Okay, now if I put the torch in a different place, okay, on the right side, okay, what happened here? This block here will be powered up. That's why now the power runs through this way, because the power or the current flows down here to here. Because this block is now power up, the current or the power will pass through here. Okay, and um, nothing will happen to this. Okay, because the direction is going through this way. So what you must do is, okay, all right, the current must flow through here, then it will reach the torch and turn it off. Okay, so that's what you must do. Next, in order to send power from the button, okay, to turn on this torch, okay, what you must do, very simple. Okay, you must put a redstone here, another redstone here. Okay, all right, another redstone here, so that there's power that runs through here. Okay, so now what happened here, okay, is there's no current passing through this redstone. If I press the button, then it will be turned on. Okay, so what happened when you press the button? Okay, when you press the button, there will be current flowing through here. All right, it will turn off this torchlight. When it turn off, there's no current flowing through this redstone. That means it will go back to its original state, which is a light on. Okay, so let's see that again. There. Okay, all right, so if you want to put it as a true option, you can place a block on you can place a block here, okay, and put the slit there. Okay, All right, so there you go. The original setup of the uh, true or false. Okay, for the false slate, you just need to add on more blocks here and put the false slate and the button just below it. Okay, so again, this is the setup that you need. All right, with a torch here, redstone, torch, redstone, redstone, redstone. Okay, and button. All right, okay, so that's about it. Thank you.
So once again, the function of the on and off torch, okay, you can use it for true or false questions or multiple choice questions. Certain places in your world, your energy world, where you can use to ask the player certain questions about what they have just gone through in your world. All right, just to make it a little more interactive for the players or the visitors in your world. Okay, do showcase all these special features in your video when you are showcasing your world, right? Okay, next I can show you another tip. Okay, using the pressure plates. So instead of having to right click on the doors to open, you can just step on the pressure plate in order to open the doors for you. Okay, so you just need to get a pressure plate and place it in front of your door. Okay, for iron door, you can only open iron door using pressure plate or buttons or levers. So let me just demonstrate that to you. So if I have so I need to get a pressure plate from the inverter. So there are a few you can choose from. So very simple, you just need to place the pressure plate in front of the door and step on it and the door will be open. Okay, and the door will be automatically closed. You can place it another one behind the door in order to go in and out of the door. Okay, you can also place other items like levers or buttons just beside, okay, the door in order to further open. But the best is still this pressure plate. Okay, let me just show you or introduce to you the base energy world. If you were to click on the hyperlink, this is where you can download the energy world. So how to navigate the base energy world? You need to right click on each NPC in order to learn more or proceed. Okay, let me emphasize again on this instruction because we have already placed certain barriers at every NPC. If you do not read the information on the NPC or you do not visit the sites, okay, or click on certain buttons, you may not be able to proceed to the next step. Okay, the information given to you will be very useful for you to conceptualize the world that you will be building. Okay, so do go through the world and even the questions so that you have an idea of how to build your world or what you want to include in the world. All right, so you need to explore the Singapore's energy transition through the 4 switches and learn how you can better manage demand and use energy efficiently. After that, you can attempt the quiz after you have explored the world. Okay, during the quiz, you can always click on concierge to revisit the 4 switches if you have forgotten the answers to the question. All right, then after that, you can start building your world. Okay, let me show you a brief walkthrough of the world.
Hello students, so After you have opened the energy world, you will be led to the exploration zone of the world. Over here, you will learn more about Singapore's energy story through the 4 energy switches and how you can better manage demand and use of the energy efficiently. So make sure that you talk to all the non-player characters before you proceed to the next area. After completing the exploration zone, there will be a short quiz for you to complete. If at any point of time you need help during the quiz, you can click on concierge for further assistance. So before you start, click on this NPC and click on learn more, which will lead you to the 4 switches. Okay, and you can click here, which will lead you to the demand side management, which actually refers to initiatives and technologies that encourage consumers like us to optimize our energy use. Okay, so once you're okay, you can approach the door to proceed to the next area. So remember to click on every NPC. Okay, they will give you further information on your journey during the world. Okay, so over here we have the posters on the energy trilemma. Okay, another NPC here. Okay, that will remind you to take the quiz at the end of the exploration zone. Okay, then exit the door and there will be a taxi there waiting for you that will bring you to learn more about the energy transition. Click ready once you are good to go. Over here, you will reach the Changi Airport where it will give you a brief introduction of Singapore's energy transition. At the end of the introduction, you will be transported directly to your first switch. Okay, so once you are ready, follow the brown carpet and read all the posters and all the boards and the right click on the NPCs to learn more about the Singapore's energy transition story. Okay, so follow the carpet to go to your first switch. So at the end of your trail, you will meet this NPC for you to go to switch 1. So this is your switch 1, which is the natural gas. Speak to the first NPC. So for this station, for this switch, okay, you will be welcomed to Jurong Island. For the second switch, you will come to the solar switch. Okay, why solar? Because it is the most promising renewable energy source that we have due to our geographical location. Okay, so explore the second switch by following the carpet. Okay, in switch 3, you will be led to regional power grids. Okay, so basically, regional power grids, they are links connecting to our neighboring countries' power supply. Okay, so explore the area here. For switch number 4, this is the low carbon alternatives where you will explore low carbon alternatives that can help reduce Singapore's carbon footprint in the long run. All right, where many organizations have already deployed innovative ideas and solutions to generate electricity in a more sustainable way. All right. At the end of switch 4, you will be led to this NPC, okay, which will give you instructions to your team to brainstorm more creative ways to reduce carbon emissions and show us how we can achieve a low carbon Singapore in your energy world. Okay, so click on concierge, where you will be led to the concierge itself. Okay, so this NPC will allow you to start taking the quiz. Along the quiz, you can click on the NPC to come back here, okay, where you can go back to all the different switches. Okay, step on the pressure plate, okay, in order to go to the different switches. Okay, so we have switch 1, switch 2, switch 3, switch 4, all right, and so on. Okay, so click on the NPC to start taking the quiz, and this is the first quiz where this bot will give you the question, and the NPC will allow you to go back to the concierge. All right, and the NPC here will allow you to answer the question correctly. So choose the correct option for every question. Okay, so every station here, there will be a board with the question and the options, and the NPC here that will allow you to answer the questions in the quiz. Okay. Okay, so that's the end of the walkthrough video. So back to the building prompt or the challenge statement. How can we reduce our carbon footprint by leveraging the 4 switches and managing energy demand to achieve a more sustainable Singapore by 2050? Okay, the scoring matrix will be as follows. 40% on relevance, how the submission incorporates sustainable and low carbon ideas in line with Singapore's energy transition. 30% on creativity, how the submission showcases future technologies and or alternative energy options for Singapore in 2050. And last but not least, 30% on your presentation, how the submission presents ideas in a coherent manner and demonstrates your understanding of the energy trilemma trade-offs. So let me just show you how to import your world after you have clicked on the previous hyperlink. Okay, you click on homepage in MEE and you click on import. Then select the world you want to import from the location you downloaded into from the link. Click on open and click on view my worlds to check if the world has been imported. Okay, so just let me show you how to import your world. So click on import here and it will open up your Windows Explorer. So if you have your world that you have already downloaded from your link, so click on the energy world, open, and the level import will finish successfully being indicated on the top of your screen. Then click on view my worlds and your latest world that you have imported will appear there. Okay. So how the worlds have been arranged is the latest world will be at the top. Now, after you have built as a team, okay, you may want to export your world, or if let's say you want to pass the world from teammate to another teammate for him or her to do certain segments of the world, okay, you can export the world by saving an exit from your world first before when you are still in the game. Right click view my worlds and export. Click on settings and scroll down to click export world. And you need to change the location, choose the location in your device to save the world into. Okay, then you can share the world with your teammates via any cloud link that you have, either
via Google Drive or OneDrive. So let me just show you that. So if this is the world that you want to export to your friends, click on settings. Okay, scroll down. You can click on export world. So once you export the world, okay, choose a location for you to save into, or the best is just the downloads folder. Click on save, and it will be auto saved in your downloads folder. You may want to check that your downloads folder the world is in your downloads folder, right? Okay, so how to host and or join multiplayer world? This will be very useful if you are building the world together with your friends and not individually. So you need to select the desired world under View My World and then click on Settings. Okay, click on Host, Escape to activate the join code. All right, let me just straight away demonstrate due to lack of time. Okay, so let me click on Host. Okay, you click on Escape. Okay, let me use another world for this. Okay, so you press Escape and the join code will be indicated there. You can refresh if you want an easier code with maybe 2 or 3 pictures that are the same. Okay. All right. Okay, if you want to join a multiplayer world, that means if your team leader is hosting the world, you do not need to have the same world downloaded into your game. Okay, he or she can just invite you to join as multiplayer. Let me just demonstrate that. So let's say you want to join the world together to build with your team leader and teammates. Here you can just click on join world and get the join code pictures from your team leader. For example, these 4 pictures, and then click on confirm, and you should be able to join the world as multiplayer. This will be very useful to cut short on your time to build, because from now till end of the month, you only have a few weeks to submit your video. Okay, but most importantly, you need to be in the same Office 365 tenant or domain name. So if you are from abc.edu.sg, every one of you must be in the same domain name. Okay. All right. Last but not least, if you want to learn more, you can click on this hyperlink, which is a beginner's guide to Minecraft education, which I personally compile for beginning players. All right, which have basics of MEE, some building tutorials, and even some coding as well. So let me just show you the beginner's guide. Okay, so it has some other videos for beginning players, some building tutorials. Okay, I would like to bring your attention to these daylight sensors, which will be very useful for you for this challenge. Okay, and some coding tutorials. Okay. So that's the end of my sharing. This is my contact details that you can contact me if you want any, if you have any questions. All right, so I'll thank you very much for your kind attention. Yeah, I will now be taking, I'll be now be answering some of the Q&A questions. Justin, you want to lead the Q&A?
Okay, just to round, thanks, Riff. Just to round back on a question by Ms. Hui Lin. So in terms of the level of participation in this round, so I would say that, you know, the participation over this is the third edition. So over the 3 years, it has been quite consistent in terms of the number of teams that are participating. So if you are more interested to understand how many teams participated in the previous 2 editions, do check out our website. Powering Lives, then SEGC Youth, there will be the number of teams. So it's around 80 to 90 teams for the past 2 years each year. Okay, so this is just to give an idea on the participation level. Okay, so I also see a lot of questions that are relating to the technical side of this MEE, using MEE. We would definitely recommend, as the first level of assistance or first level of check, is to get in touch with your ICT or teacher in charge for the technical queries regarding MEE. And if, say, there are queries thereafter this first level of check, you may reach out to us from the email address which we've directed to in the previous slide that we shared just now. Okay, Riff, would you like to share some of these answers to the questions in the Q&A?
Okay, there are some questions relating to the link to the world. Okay, we will share it in the toolkit. All right. And concerning the world format from normal PC format to MC World, for that I will have to check with my technical team. Okay, which we I will get back to you with in the toolkit. All right, whether there is a way to change the world format from PC format to MC World.
Okay, so yes, there are a couple of questions on the link to the base world. All right, so for those requesting for the base world download, so we mentioned just now during the first set of presentation that we will be sending a follow-up email or a brief of this competition to your inbox. So you will be able to download this base world after you receive this email. Okay. So this is for fairness, for the sake of fairness for all participants, junior and senior category. So everyone receives at the same time.
Okay, there is a response for the question for Ms. Nur Zuhaila. Okay, she's asking the students' edu.sg account is a Google account. Can they still use this account to sign in? If not, can they use the non-education version? So from what Chachin mentioned just now, students are strongly encouraged to use the education version of the Minecraft. But for the account sign in,
I think I can also take this question from what we understand, that the students, even though it is a Google account or not, as long as it is under the 0365 education user, the student should be able to access to MEE. So, so Ms. Zuhaila, would you like to first have a first level check with the ICT team first? And if, let's say, there really is no way to access it, do send us an email to our inbox. Then we will take it from there.
Okay. For one technical question by Team Energizers, if the exported world is downloaded by another member, will the progress on the world be different, or will the change be saved for all members? Okay, you need to coordinate with your team members who is doing what element or what feature of your world. If you want to save it manually, okay. If let's say team member A will start on feature number 1, then you will do your respective feature or your respective structure within the world. All right, then you can save it in a different version. So you can actually rename it. For example, let me just share my screen. You can always rename your file to be a different version. For example, maybe V1, or you can type your group member's name. Okay, that means myself have already completed my part, and then you park it in the drive or the shared drive that you are sharing with your team members. Okay, and then you can message your team members that you have already finished your part, and then the second team member can download this particular world, and the changes will all be saved in there. Okay, so please do not do use the same file or the same world, and all of you build 4 different structures and then hoping that they are all safe within. Okay, so in order to solve that, you need to play as or build as a multiplayer. Then it's possible for you to build together. Okay, so I hope I have answered that, Ms. Hui Lin. Okay, for the next question by Dylan from Team Energize. Hosting means we can build together, right? Don't need to log onto same Wi-Fi, correct? Okay, you don't need to be on the same Wi-Fi. You can still build together as long as you are in the same tenant. A question from Xiang Hui: how are the users counted?
Hi, Xiang Hui. Okay, so based on the question, the number of users, right? So from what we understand from Microsoft Education, the MEE, so this trial is limited by the number of logins. So for 10, I believe you're referring to 10 for students, and then this will be the 10 logins. It's counted by 10 logins. So I think we will close the session here. If there are further queries or technical issues, please do a first level check with your ICT teachers or teacher in charge. For competition detail related queries, you may send it over to the EMA's inbox on Human Capital, the email address which we shared earlier. And we will be sending over the competition brief, which will include the link to the Base World download, our MEE toolkit, and all the necessary details to your inbox by next week. Okay, so if there are no further queries, then we will close this session. So students, you may leave the webinar anytime. Thank you very much for joining.